What is going on, everybody? It's Matthew here, your local bro. Hope you guys are doing good out there, enjoying the sun, enjoying the summer, having the best time ever. Perhaps you guys are on holiday, perhaps your holiday is coming up. Nevertheless, hope you guys are doing amazing wherever you are around the world watching this video. So, we have been checking out all the states ranked, we have been checking out specific food from each state. So today we're going to check out the 10 most beautiful states in America. And I want you guys, the best judges on the entire internet, to comment down below if this guy is accurate. If you guys are new to this channel, make sure that you make sure that you smash that subscribe button down below. Drop one of those to support your local bro so we can have more videos coming out, and comment down what you want to see in the future. Without further ado, guys, let's dive right into it. Wow.
Before I say anything else,
Is this USA?
I have to say it isn't nice to judge. Every state is both beautiful and ugly in its own way. Take California, for example. On the one hand, you have Yosemite and Big Sur, but on the other hand, well, you have Skid Row and Stockton. To be completely honest with you, this was one of the hardest lists I've ever made because I really love the nature in so many states. But the West really is best when it comes to beautiful and unique scenery. Now, don't get me wrong, I grew up in the Northeast, and while there is a lot of charm to the small towns and wooded habitats there, it just doesn't compare to the majestic vistas and untouched wilderness.
Bro, just look at this, and you have the mountains in the far distance, bro. This is just something else.
Found in the West. But don't worry, there are some eastern states on the list too. It does have a special place in my heart after all. Anyways, I ranked the states by their natural landmarks, national and state parks.
Look at this!
Eco-diversity and accessibility to nature. Forget about good jobs or city amenities. I mean, who cares about money when you're surrounded by this? Probably goes without saying, but this video isn't for the material girls. So here's to you fellow nature lovers, and if you aren't a nature lover, well, keep watching to see why you should be. Cause these are the top 10 most beautiful states in America.
Let's go!
Number 10. Maine. I know you're probably thinking,
wow,
what? That doesn't look like Maine. Well, that's cause it isn't. It honestly was really hard to choose which state to put at number 10, so I'm starting the list off with an honorable mention. South Dakota. Wait, what? South Dakota? Yeah, it might come as a surprise if you've never been here, but that's because it's incredibly underrated. I was blown away on my first visit, and not just because the wind cave. From natural grasslands to the Badlands to Spearfish Canyon and Custer State Park to the Black Hills, which are a heck of a lot more than just four dead guys' faces on a rock. The diversity of nature in the mountain.
Bro, I just gotta say, people always think that good nature has to be, you know, explosive and special. Sometimes all it takes is just like a lot of just open wilderness. Like this, bro. Even if it's a lot of flatlands, it's still free. The sense of freedom.
Mount Rushmore State is mind-boggling. I seriously have no clue why it's one of the least visited states in the country. But enough with my South Dakota obsession. Actual number 10 is Maine. You might not have given the Pine Tree State much thought if you live outside of New England, but as a New Englander myself, this
looks a lot like Sweden.
My family would take trips up here almost every summer, and let me tell ya, it is beautiful.
This looks like identical to Sweden.
Inside the Portland metro area, no, not the one in Oregon. The state is pretty much just untouched, gorgeous nature and really cute, charming small towns, which means there are endless opportunities for adventure, whether you want to hike, ski, swim, kayak, hunt, or fish.
I swear, this is Sweden.
And if you're lucky, or maybe unlucky if you get too close, you might even see a moose. Maine's honestly one of the best kept secrets on the East Coast. From jutting cliffs to stunning beaches, if you include all the islands, Maine actually has more miles of coastline than even California. And speaking of islands, have you seen Mount Desert Island? It's home to Acadia National Park, which is pretty much the crown jewel of Maine. There really is no other place in America quite like it. Number 9.
So if you guys like Maine or what you just saw, come to Sweden, I swear.
Michigan. Now this might be surprising too, but Michigan's actually another state with more coastline than California. Granted, it's just surrounded by really big lakes, but they're so big that it almost feels like the ocean. You may have heard of the famously old-fashioned Mackinac Island, where cars are forbidden and horses and buggies transport you back in time around the Victorian town. But have you heard of Isle Royale National Park? The 400-island archipelago is actually actually the least visited national park in the contiguous United States, mainly
Really?
because the only way to get there is a 3-hour-long ferry. But if you make the trip, or honestly just go anywhere in the Upper Peninsula, the wildlife and scenery you encounter will literally feel like a movie. And
just imagine going there like fishing or something like that.
let's not forget the multicolored Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore, the isolated hilly beaches at Sleeping Bear Dunes, and Headlands International Dark Sky Park, which is one of the best places to see the stars, and if you're lucky, the Northern Lights. I could go on and on about the beauty of Michigan. I mean, there are freaking ice caves and a rock jutting out of the water that looks like a turnip.
Bro, let me know in the comments down below where you live, by the way.
Number 8. Oregon. When you think of Oregon, you probably just think of hipsters in Portland, or maybe something like this or this. But the Beaver State has pretty much every type of biome imaginable. You probably didn't know this.
Looks like a video
This was in
game.
Oregon, or this. The ecosystems here are seriously so dang diverse that each region feels like its own country. From beautiful beaches bordered by sinkholes, sand dunes, and giant rock islands, to lush national forests teeming with literally thousands of streams and waterfalls, to charming artsy towns like Ashland, Bend, and Hood River, the entire state just feels enchanted. The Cascade Range also runs through the middle of Oregon and is home to some of the most beautiful mountains in the country, and Crater Lake National Park, which is literally a giant blue lake.
I want to go there.
At the top of a volcanic crater.
Cool.
It's honestly one of the most unique and gorgeous settings I've ever seen. And I haven't even mentioned the eastern half of the state, with places like the Painted Hills and Owyhee Canyonlands that you'll swear must be Photoshopped.
So cool.
And there's also Hell's Canyon, aka the deepest gorge in North America.
And this is number 8.
With a nearly 8,000 foot vertical drop into the Snake River. Needless to say, there's a lot more to Oregon than just Portland.
This is so cool.
Number 7. Colorado. Denver might be overrated, but there's a reason why
Go Broncos.
so many people are moving to, or at least vacationing in the Centennial State. Take a drive on I-70 and you'll see why. Every curve of the interstate reveals a breathtaking view of the Rockies before following the Eagle and Colorado rivers through the canyons into a landscape that looks like Mars. And this is honestly the least scenic route. The mountains
This is so cool.
are just gorgeous all around, with 58 peaks exceeding.
Why didn't you guys tell me that it looked like this, bro? What's going on? Why don't you let me know? You guys gotta comment stuff like this.
14,000 feet. By far the most of any
amazing.
state. In fact, there are only 4 states in the country that even have one 14,000 footer. But while the Front Range is magical, Colorado is so much more than just a beautiful mountainous region full of world-class ski resorts and hikes. Head to the southwest near Durango and you'll find some of the most well-preserved Native American pueblos at Mesa Verde National Park. Or you could head to Colorado Springs to find some of the most beautiful red rock formations at Garden of the Gods. And Colorado's also home to the tallest sand dunes in North America.
Sand dunes too?
This state is honestly so diverse that even if you spent your entire life here, it still wouldn't be long enough to explore all the unique environments the area has to offer.
This is so cool.
Number 6. Washington. Seattle and rain are probably the first 2 words that come to mind when you think of Washington.
Coffee.
But this state is so much more.
Bro, just look at this.
Don't get me wrong, on the days where it isn't misty and rainy and you can actually see, Seattle's one of the most
What's that in the far distance?
picturesque cities in the world.
Mountain?
But the constant rain kinda is what makes the Evergreen State stay, well, evergreen. Speaking of evergreen, North Cascade.
Man, this is... Oh my god, look at this. You know, people are just so obsessed with, you know, money and stuff these days. Sometimes you just gotta relax, you just gotta shut the world out, go out in the nature. Maybe this is a bit extreme because it's very hard to just go out and it looks like this, but just know, just go out, enjoy yourself. Could be in the forest, you know, breathe in, breathe out, you know, and just take in how beautiful the nature actually is, man.
Cascades National Park might be one of the most beautiful places on Earth. I mean, have you seen Mount Shuksan? Well, probably not, because it's also one of the least visited national parks, which is weird since it's only a 2-hour drive from Seattle. But even closer to Seattle are the majestic Olympic Mountains, and even closer is Mount Rainier, which is the most prominent peak in the continental United States, and also an active volcano. But hey, I'm not here to judge Seattleites' life decisions. It really was hard to choose which Pacific Northwest state to put higher on this list,
So
but while
beautiful.
Oregon is very geographically diverse, Washington is even more diverse. The Evergreen State is home to 63 different mountain ranges, the largest expanse of temperate rainforest in the US, tons of waterfalls, rivers, lakes, and ecologically unique islands, the Columbia River Gorge and the Scablands, the Palouse Hills, and charming mountain towns like Leavenworth.
This
You
is
know,
so
maybe
cool.
it is worth living under an active volcano to be near all that.
You guys see the house up to the left, bro? Imagine their mornings, waking up, taking a cup of coffee, you know, go out there and see this entire thing. Wow.
Number 5. Utah. From the Rocky Mountains to desert canyons, it isn't hard to see why Utah has the 3rd most national parks in the country. You've probably heard of Zion and Arches. And no, that's not the moon. That's just Canyonlands National Park. There's also Bryce Canyon and Capitol Reef National Park, and a boatload of national monuments and forests, which are equally as impressive. As you can see, Utah shares a lot of similarities with Colorado and Arizona, but also has a lot of uniquely Utah things too. And I'm not talking about fry sauce. Besides the national parks, there are 43 state parks, and no, I'm not about to list them all, but just look at how pretty they are. The coolest thing about Utah, in my opinion...
Bro, are you serious? Is this actually real? This looks like, you know, like an Avengers movie or something that Marvel came up with. How is this real?
Though, is that most of the nature is completely untouched, and aside from the super popular...
Imagine Zach Wilson just grew up here.
national parks and ski resorts like Zion and Park City, it's almost never overcrowded with tourists. If it had a coastline, Utah would probably be number 1 on this list. But it doesn't, and before you say, hey, what about the Great Salt Lake? Nobody actually likes how the Great Salt Lake looks, or smells for that matter. Number 4. California.
Texas.
I know a lot of you are probably wondering, why isn't California number 1? I mean, it is the most geographically diverse state in the country by far, housing nearly every type of climate zone in the world. But the one thing keeping it out of even the top 3 on my list is just all the overcrowding and pollution. Even though most of the national parks are 4 to 5 hours out of the cities, there are still so many people. Sure, there are a few secret spots where you can find some peace and quiet, but if you aren't a local and don't know what you're doing, you're never gonna find them. What you will find is 3,400 miles of pristine coastline and some of the best beaches in the world. To the south, you have La Jolla and Laguna, but more north, there's also Carmel, Moonstone Beach, Bowling Ball Beach, and the incredible Big Sur. But actually, don't go there because the locals do everything they can to hide the best spots from tourists. So why don't you head on over to one of the
Bro, I'm just gonna say the nature in America is just surreal.
national parks or over 300
So
state
diverse.
parks instead, both numbers being the most of any state. Try Yosemite, the Redwoods, or even Death Valley. Seriously, I cannot state this enough. Almost every type of scenery imaginable is here. The problem is that people, litter, and their pollution is destroying the environment, and not nearly enough funds are being allocated to protect it. But what can I say? It's not like money grows on trees. And even if it did, California would have probably burned through it by now. Pun intended.
A lot
Number
of fires.
3. Hawaii. Hawaii is by far the smallest state on this list, so I guess it goes to show that size doesn't matter. Because what the Aloha state lacks in size,
That's right, guys. Size doesn't matter.
it makes up for in sheer beauty. There really isn't a single part of the islands that isn't jaw-droppingly gorgeous. Each of the 7 inhabited islands is entirely different in its own way, but some notable views are the Nepali coast and Waimea Canyon on Kauai, the bamboo forest, Honokohau Falls, and the road to Hana on Maui, the sea cliffs of Molokai, Lanikai Beach and the Coco Head crater on Oahu, and Mauna Kea and Volcanic National Park on Big Island. In fact, the Big Island alone has 11 of the world's 13 climate zones. From the history to the culture to the waterfalls, volcanoes, hiking, and world-class snorkeling and surfing, Hawaii is one of the most unique and diverse states in the country. Not to mention the nearly perfect weather with tropical temperatures and 270 sunny days a year.
Huh.
Number 2. Montana. In contrast to the last two states, Montana has exactly 0 miles of coastline. So how the heck did it make it so high on this list? If you're seriously asking that question, you need to visit the Big Sky State, where, yes, the sky really does seem bigger. We all know Colorado is the Rocky Mountain state, but honestly, the Rockies in Montana remain unparalleled. The mountains loom majestically over vast and colorful valleys dotted by the lakes, rivers, and wildlife that run through them. A trip to Yellowstone will leave you bewildered by the power of nature, but the lesser-known Glacier National Park is actually, in my opinion, the most beautiful national park in America. And in the eastern half of the state, you have a complete contrast with places like Makoshika State Park.
I'm just like so blown away by this, you know, this is just so beautiful.
Park with its badlands and dinosaur fossils.
Like, guys, why haven't you told me?
There are actually 55 state...
Look at this. This looks like Scotland. The thing is, you have like Scotland, Sweden, you have like Scandinavia, Great Britain, and then you have like the deserts from, you know, north of Africa, south of Europe. You don't really have deserts there. Like, all mashed together, like in this continent, and that's just what makes it so unique. Like, all these different zones just all smashed up together. It's amazing.
In the state, including the Lewis and Clark Caverns, Flathead Lake, Palisade and Kootenai Falls, and Bighorn Canyon. But honestly, the entire state could be a national park. Drive through just about anywhere here, and you'll have a hard time finding a view that doesn't look like a painting. Even in the urban areas like Missoula or Bozeman. And on a clear night, you might even see the Northern Lights. Now, before we get to number 1, leave a like, subscribe, and let me know what you think the most beautiful state is. But without further...
Yeah, comment down below what you think it is.
Number 1.
Bro, I'm just gonna say from what we have been seeing here, it's gotta be one state up there, right? It gotta be a north state. They've been through Oregon, Washington, California. Is it Idaho? Wyoming? I don't know. Let's see.
1. Alaska. Speaking of
course.
the Northern Lights.
Oh, I'm so stupid. Wow.
Could number 1 really be anything but? Alaska is more grand, vast, and untamed than any other state. And it's not even close. It even has more coastline than every other state combined. And that coast varies widely from the volcanic Aleutian Islands to glacier-lined black sand beaches.
But like Alaska just feels like pure nature, like untouched nature.
Craggy cliffs to forested fjords. Sure, it does get really cold in some parts, but there is a heck of a lot more to Alaska than just snow-capped mountains. The Last Frontier is home to 8 national parks, each featuring incredibly different landscapes, ranging from Denali, home of the tallest mountain in North America, to Kenai Fjords, Gates of the Arctic, Glacier Bay, and Wrangell St. Elias, which is actually the largest national park in the nation. And while there are also 156 state parks to boot, Alaska's still the least visited state in the US, which might be due to the fact that there aren't many roads leading to the parks. You'll actually have to charter a plane to get to most of them. But that's also why the population density...
And just imagine the pure wilderness up there.
...is just 1 person per square mile. So there are literally...
1 person per square mile.
...thousands of miles of untouched, unique wilderness. And you're probably more likely to run into a bear, moose, or muskox than another person in the nature here.
Bro, that was... What a video, bro. You guys have a very beautiful country. If you guys want me to watch another one of those videos about the US states, comment down below which one. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to don't miss out. If I do the reaction, don't miss out to get that notification on your phone or your tablet or your TV, whatever you're watching it. Thank you so much for watching this video. I will catch you guys around in the next one.